Hello guys, welcome back to another installment of Allotment to Plate. It's been a while. This vlog is mainly about composting, and also I found this resource at my allotment, which I think every allotment should have. At the top of our allotment, they deliver horse manure, I think a few times a week. So I've decided to, collect some up and put it in one of my bays, because I have got like 6 compost bins, which 2 of them are full now, which I'm going to turn into, I was going to turn it all into 1, 2, which I finished, but as you'll see in this video, I ended up turning it into 2 because it was quite a lot. So this is the horse manure, which is at the top of the allotment. I've dedicated one of my bins to just manure, so I'm going to just possibly make a bin. Is it hot bin or hot box? Sorry about my terminology, but yeah, maybe make a hot box and grow something out of it later on in the season once it's calmed down a little bit, because it's quite fresh, as you can see from all the steam coming off it. So yeah, I've just ended up piling up the whole bay with horse manure, and I'll just keep adding to that within the next few weeks, I think, until it's absolutely full. Leave it in there to decompose, and then I'll use that on my beds at some point, maybe in about a year's time. So I have got 2 other bays which I've got compost in. One is about, I filled it from January, all of January, and then the other one from from February till March, and then I have got a 3rd one going, which I haven't finished off yet. I'm still filling that one. So the 2 bays I've decided to turn all into 1. I was going to, plus my garlic compost, which I started last year, and as you can see, it's not a bad effort, I think, apart from the eggshells, which I don't think break down that quickly. It's all quite decomposed, so yeah, there's quite a few worms in it, as you can see. It looks quite, for me, I was quite pleased with it. So I will turn this one all into the 2 other bays and leave that to rot for a while still, I think, because they're still quite fresh, the other 2 bays. What I did notice when I was turning the 2 bays, because those were the first grass trimmings and my kitchen waste that I started off, and what I did notice, because there's quite a lot of grass, and from Carl, one of my guys who is a gardener, who was giving me all these trimmings from work, and I did notice quite a lot of them leaves were quite dry. So as I was turning it, I decided to add water to it, but I was quite pleased with the progress. It's only been 3 months, all the 2 compost bins, so it's still got quite a while to go, at least 6 months or even longer. If it is my first time making compost, so it is all trial and error, but I was pleased with the progress so far. So I've ended up turning the 2 bays plus the garlic into 2 more bays. So in all, if I think about it, I haven't lost that much volume in the compost, although they were quite dry, as you can see from the video. That's the first one I started in January, and I stopped filling it at the end of January. So it's just been sitting there for quite a while. It has sunk quite a bit, and there is quite a few nice bits in there. I was happily surprised with it. So I'm going to keep on going on with that. Turning it, I think, is a good idea, because you get to mix it, you get to see where the dry spots are. Someone told me to urinate in it, so I am going to start urinating more in it. And also, when I was turning these 2 compost bins that I've already started, I did go and grab some of the horse manure from the top of the allotment site, which I've started Hotbox with, and I just put a few layers in between each layer of compost as I was turning it and putting it back into the bays. So hopefully that will help activate it and help with the decomposition. I also added water as I was going along, which I think was needed because it was quite dry, because I had it quite covered most of the time when it was sitting in them bays, and it did have all the cardboard around it as well to try and keep all the heat inside. Yeah, I was quite happy with it. So far, so good. Um, Making compost is quite backbreaking exercise, I suppose. Next time, what I will do, maybe I'll put the two bays closer together so I can turn it into one, or leave the middle one empty. It's just, all of this is trial and error. I'm learning as I go along, which is a good thing. So hopefully anyone who's starting off as well, doing the same thing as I'm doing, yeah, you learn from these mistakes or learn from what I'm doing, basically. Um, it is quite exciting. I'm really looking forward to this next phase. I know a lot of my allotment, I suppose people that use the allotment, I suppose be looking at my plot thinking I've just been concentrating on my compost. But I think that's the first step. That's the foundation. I think once I've got my composting going, everything else can follow that. And now I have got my composting going. My two bays are full. I've got one bay with just leaf in there, and now another bay with just horse manure, and then I've got a third bay which I'm now filling up. So I think all in all, since last year, when did I get this allotment? Allotment one. I got it last year, June. All in all, I've done okay. It is a matter of getting some beds down now, really, and trying to get some plants into the ground. That is the next phase, definitely. Juggling everything is quite challenging at times, but I do enjoy it. I really do enjoy it. I have been going to the other allotments as well to try and get them going. I'm not really spending as much time with those two, because those two are just going to be basically growing allotments. I'm not making no compost there. I'm not really, yeah, they're not going to be for anything else apart from growing. So the next step for those two allotments is to build the beds. So I will be, hopefully in the next few weeks, be able to get up there. My compost is on the way. It has actually been delivered. I will be putting up the videos on that soon. I have taken the compost up there to allotment 2 and 3. Just haven't made the beds yet. Okay, so this is at the end of the compost making, really. I emptied out both. Once I filled the first bay with 2 of the compost bins I've been making, I emptied out the first bay which had the earliest compost in there, and then I mixed in both of the remaining bays which were left over. That's the pile in front of you there. So I lined it again, my compost bays, with cardboard. I did wet the ground of that bay to make sure that it was just moist, and I just didn't want it to dry out again. This is another thing I do love about the allotment. There's so many friendly people there offering advice, and this family are opposite me, and they've got their kids who are so funny. It's a nice little community, the allotment. So it's another thing, always people ready to give you a hand and offer you advice, which is really nice, especially for someone like me who hasn't done anything like this before. So having people around like that to, just guide you and give you encouragement is good. So yeah, so I'm just turning all the compost back into the bay, making sure I wet it as I go along. That's the wheelbarrow of horse manure that I fetched from the top of the allotment site. So I'm mixing a little bit in every time with the with the compost, just to help it activate it and break it down and give it another nutrient dimension, I suppose. And then just turning everything into these bays, and that is the end of my turning experience, my first fully turned composting experience. I do have to say, it was a learning curve. For me, it was a little bit dry. As you can see, I was watering as I was going along with buckets of water to make sure that it was moist all the way through, so that next time, I'm going to leave it for quite a while now, I think, maybe end of summer, and then I'll see if I can turn both of those bays into one and see what they're like. And then hopefully I'll be able to put some of that down at the beginning of winter on my beds, if they've been made yet. Hopefully, fingers crossed. That's the next objective now, is to get these beds done. So hopefully in the next videos you'll see that happening. But yeah, this has been a very nice compost making experience, and the weather's been gorgeous in the last few days when I've been up to the allotment, which has been really lucky. So I really enjoyed it. As you can see, I've got my jacket off there, getting in there with the turning the compost. I found it really easy using the fork as well to lift everything back into the compost bin. And the rake as well, just raking everything in. And once I got to a certain level, again using lots of cardboard to insulate it, and the doors very simply just with wires to hold it in. Eventually, once everything is settled, as I say, I do want to build nice composting bins with just pallets. One of my neighbours have built it with pallets, and it looks really cool. It looks really nice. It's really easy to access, and build a sort of, not a permanent structure because it'll never be permanent, but a more aesthetically pleasing structure, so that I can have a few compost bays ready to go for my composting. Because I do think this bit of the I was going to say operation, but this bit of the gardening farming is fundamental, I think, especially to grow good, healthy, organic vegetables, which is the route I want to go down. I'm not using no pesticides, no artificial fertilizer. I'm not even going to use no tomato feed. I'm just want to try and use natural ingredients like compost. Even my girlfriend went down to Southend not too long ago, a few weeks ago, and I told her to grab me some seaweed. So that's going to go into my compost bin and things like that. So just try and be as organic and pesticide free as possible, and this will all add to going on that route. But so I hope you lot enjoyed my composting experience. There's definitely something I think every gardener should be doing at some stage. I do want to get maybe a wormery or something like that going, but maybe that would be if I get a wormery going, I think I might do that at my home, where I can keep an eye on it on a daily basis, sort of thing. Because I think that's more care and attention what I've been researching about wormeries, so I can get some worm castings. But even in my compost bins here, the Dalek, there was a lot of worms, which was very encouraging. So hopefully, once we get going, we will have a nice bioecological system here, where there will be lots of microorganisms that will be beneficial for the soil, the plants, the environment, for everything. Yeah, so hope you guys enjoyed it. Hopefully it won't be so long until I put another installment up. Now that the bays are finished, as you can see, I've finished turning everything into there. I've covered it up with everything that you see in the allotment is all free. Thank you.